I'm Andrew Nutter. I'm the CEO and founder of Gama Space. We are based here in Gama's facilities in Ivry-sur-Seine. And one of the things for us that's very important is combining very young talents with perhaps more senior experienced people, maybe from the US, maybe from other geographies, that have experience that you cannot find anywhere else and will help you grow and move faster through life. So that's the secret, I think. So Gama is building deployable structures for space. The vision is all about the promise of very, very large structures in space, either for infrastructure or for propulsion to go into deep space. If you think about the history of space until today, in reality we have not been very far. Most of the activity is very close to Earth, in low Earth orbits, and sometimes in geosynchronous orbit. We believe that we're limited by the propulsion methods of the past, and that is typically chemical or electrical propulsion. And something called a solar sail, a very large mirror in space, can harness the light from the sun as a propellant and therefore not need to carry propellant. We're no longer limited by the amount of propellant that we have to navigate through the solar system. Not necessarily. So typically when you think about innovation for propulsion or for deep space scientific exploration, you're thinking about space agencies doing this. We believe fundamentally a small company is able to move faster and innovate maybe a little bit faster with less constraints than a larger entity, but yet to be demonstrated. So that's the challenge we've taken. Yes, I believe so. So one of the important things to note is that while the vision is solar sailing through space, in the short term, we're working on drag sails, so smaller deployable structures that can be attached to spacecraft before launch to make sure that they deorbit and leave their orbits earlier on and avoid or minimize the risk for collisions. We believe that it's in partnership with regulations that need to tell companies, actually you cannot leave things floating around in space for 10, 20 years. You need to clean up the mess. And that's where we can come in and offer actually very kind of low cost and easy to implement solutions. And that's where maybe the small company can help, because we can iterate faster, we can produce things that are adequate for the requirements set by some of the regulations, but basically not burden the industry with very, very high costs to meet those regulations. For companies that want to be sustainable, our solution is a very simple solution because it can be either without propulsion or in addition to propulsion to increase the reliability and make sure that a spacecraft deorbits at end of life. So I think it's very important for space sustainability longer term. It's going to be a mixture of dealing with industry, with regulators, and then the suppliers and the subcomponent manufacturers such as ourselves to be able to provide solutions. But ultimately, I do believe that every spacecraft should have a very reliable solution to come out of orbit at end of life. So the plan is very ambitious, because if we want to be a meaningful player in the space economy, and the vision around solar sailing through deep space or building very large infrastructure in space, the fastest way to get there is not to start with the endpoint, it's to start with small products that get progressively bigger until you develop the capability to work on these huge infrastructure plays further down the line. So we have milestones, we have a roadmap that includes larger structures over time. Some of that is still confidential, but effectively we're starting with drag sails and then working on bigger and bigger products within a product range. So Gama will be a company with a range of products, starting with deorbitation, probably going into power generation with much larger structures in space, and then we have a few other ideas before we get to solar sailing a little bit further down the line. There are a few times in life when there's a unique opportunity to work on something very meaningful, and I think today there are a few topics that are very meaningful and important. One of them is space. We're going to see a very large growth in activity. We're already seeing some of terrestrial infrastructure move to space, such as with Starlink on communications. And I think it's an industry that's still quite small if you think about it, and is growing fast and is going to grow fast over the years to come. But I think if you really want to make a dent in that course of history, hard work is rewarded, and the harder you work, the more opportunities, the easier things become for you. So, I mean, personally, I've worked hard all my life, and if you can combine hard work with your passion and find a company where the culture is all about helping you grow even faster and accelerating your career profile, that's the perfect combination. Absolutely. I think there's a very rich history of aerospace engineering in France. There is a very good educational system that brings up talent and forms them maybe a little bit too theoretically, and I think it's a very good starting place. But then you really need to find opportunities where you have responsibilities and ownership of things, and you need to learn to go very fast, because in the old world you had a bit more time, you had big budgets. In today's world you need to move very fast, and you need to bring products to market that are reliable. You need to iterate quickly, as we've seen with SpaceX and other companies. So that culture is maybe a little bit lacking in France. So if you can combine good French engineering talent with a slightly new culture, I think that's a very powerful combination.